What's going on, you guys? My name is Morgan and welcome back to another video. So we are back with foster care story part 3. So where I left off, we had gotten a new caseworker and she had been texting me trying to figure out what was going on. So a few days later she ended up coming and, well, she ended up telling the foster family, okay, I'm gonna come get them, my brother and I, so have them ready and bring them to me. Well, she said, I'm gonna come get them, and so one of the foster moms took us to work with her, and that was a whole drama thing because I had my phone with me, and she didn't cuss me out, but she cussed at me as to why I had my phone, and I was not allowed to have my phone. So she cussed at me and took my phone, and then when the social worker came and picked us up, she gave it to the social worker and said what a bad kid I was, and that I was never supposed to have my phone to begin with because they didn't allow phones. But the social worker gave me my phone back. She was super sweet, and we ended up going back home. So around this time, my dad is in a different apartment. He's not allowed to stay with my mom. He's not allowed to see us, so he's living down the street from us. And believe it or not, our social worker lives across the street from us in our house. So that was a very interesting turn of events, but as long as nobody knew what was going on the inside, anything could happen on the inside. So when we got home, I was so happy to see Dot. I mean, I was just the happiest to see Dot. But I was bashed because I called the police. But I'll get to that in a second. So we didn't see my mom very often. We had a lawyer come and talk to us quite a bit. And my mom told me, or I think, it was a child advocate. She was child advocate services or child advocate specialist, and my mom told me to tell her, and she told me and my brother to tell her. We were told to tell her that we never meant for any of this to happen and we just want our family back. So that is basically what we were told to tell this advocate specialist, that we never meant for this to happen, and that's what we ended up telling her. We just wanted our family back, which I to this day I don't really care here nor there, but that's what we were told to say, or I was told to say. My mom had to leave, so she wasn't allowed to influence us while they were there, or while she was there, even though she influenced us anyways. But she ended up saying to me, my mom, she apologized and said, I know I'm not spending very much time with y'all since y'all been back, but I want to spend time with your dad because he doesn't live here anymore and he needs me more than y'all do. Y'all understand, right? That's what she said to me. We never saw my mom. We hardly ever saw my mom while that was going on because she believed that my dad needed her more than we did, which I think that's a load of BS. I think that's ridiculous, but it is what it is. And so she spent a lot of time with my dad, and eventually the case got closed and my dad came home, and the first thing my dad said was, you need to all come sit on the couch and we need to have a conversation. So he looked at me. He was talking about calling CPS on him, calling the police out on him. He looked at me and said, if you ever call the police on me again, I will go and drop you off at CPS myself, and you can go find a new family. Yeah, so he said that to me. I bawled and I cried, and my mom said, well, why did you just say that to her? Why were you just looking at her? I said, I wasn't. I was saying it to both of them. And I said, no, you weren't. You were just looking at me when you said it. That's because I'm the one that called the cops, and my brother didn't really care here nor there. So that was what was said to me. So can you imagine how I felt? You know, I'd get a B or a C on a progress report card in 8th grade, and my dad would beat me. I remember that happening after CPS thing was involved, because I thought I was going to get a C because I thought I flunked a spelling test. It was a spelling test, I believe, and I thought I did bad, got a D on a spelling test. So I told my mom, and my mom said, you better not come home with a C or something bad's going to happen. So I ended up going to the counselor and bawling my eyes out, and they called my parents, and I got my butt handed to me, let's put it that way. And I got my report card, and it was a B. And she said, well, why did you go do that anyways? Because you got a B. You just made a big fuss about nothing. So it was great, being very sarcastic. It was great that my counselor called my parents because I was going through this. It was so great. You know, when I was in school, they didn't have your back. They weren't worried about you, because if I tell them, you know, this is going on at home, and you call them and it's going to get worse and it gets worse, How are you going to sleep at night? She didn't come and apologize even though I told her what was going on. You are required to report it to CPS, but you are not required to call my family and tell them what the heck is going on. So I get my butt beat even more. So thank you for that. I remember you. It was horrible. But the CPS caseworker still lived across the street from us, but we never had any cops called back. But the other stuff didn't stop. It never stopped. You know, in a way you kind of just feel on your own and alone. So, but they never came back out. My parents never got called ever, my parents never got called ever again because I couldn't trust my counselors. Everybody in the school was happy to see me. All the teachers were happy to see me. But when you go to the counselor, if you go to the counselor in school and they call your parents, I don't think they realize what actually goes on when you're at home. And part of me thinks they don't care too much. You know, the worst part about it all is it didn't seem like they cared at all. You know, the teachers cared. I had some really good teachers, but it didn't seem like the counselors cared at all, especially when they end up calling your parents and telling them what's going on. And so your parents can turn around and call you a liar, so you have nobody in your corner. Oh my goodness. If one time I wanted to go to therapy when I was growing up, I was told, yeah, your dad said you can go to therapy as long as you're not telling stories about him. Telling stories about him. So a story can be fictional or it can be factual. It can be a truth or it can be a lie. It can be fake, it can be real. So you're going to tell me that because I want to go to counseling that I'm going to tell stories even though everything that has happened to me has been true? You really want to go there? So that was how that went. I have never went to counseling growing up even though I needed it so bad. But so yeah, that was the best times of my life. Oh my goodness. So bottom line, when you're in school, please make sure you're nice to everybody. Be nice to everybody because you never know what they're going through. You bully the wrong kid and something bad happens. So being sure you're nice to everybody. Don't ever throw anybody under the bus. You never know who needs a real friend in life. But that's my foster care story. And after this will be a foster care brand. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoy my story. And if you've been there, I hope you speak out. I hope you tell your story soon. So thank you guys so much for watching. And as usual, you guys, I'll see you guys next time in the next video. See you guys later.